Okay, so we're embarking on a new project, a new rig, and a new desk setup for our resident teenager, Isabel.
Hello.
Isabel's soon to be 14, loves VR gaming as well as conventional gaming, and needs something to do her schoolwork on. So come on, let's get into it. Come on then. Okay, so we're starting out with an existing build. This is the machine that we had previously used for streaming. It's built on the Ryzen platform, first generation Ryzen, and it's got an X370 board in there from MSI. So we're going to flash the BIOS on that. That's going to allow us to put a third gen Ryzen CPU in there, specifically the 3800X. We're also going to upgrade the RAM. The RAM in there is extremely slow. There's only 16 gigs, so we're going to put 32 gigs of GSkill RGB goodness in there. And we're also going to add an old 1080 that I've got laying around. It's got a beautiful backplate and water block on there. We're going to completely refurbish all of that. It is quite grimy at the moment. It's a bit of a job, so we best get started. So, Isabel, the build's finished. Are you pleased with it?
Yep, very.
What's your favourite thing about it?
I like the chrome parts on the graphics card, and I like the water cooling tubes.
What's the first thing you think you're going to do on it?
Probably play Sims or VR, or do schoolwork.
I think Sims or VR sounds like a very, very good choice. There we go. Generally, I'm pretty pleased with how this went. Isabel, are you pleased with the machine?
Yeah.
I have to say the X370's held up pretty well with the 3800X in there. Update to the latest BIOS that was released in December of 2019. Works seamlessly with our 3800X. Ryzen, certainly of that era, had a whole heap of memory compatibility issue, so I was worried about the GSkill memory, but no issues there. Went straight to its overclock profile, all the correct voltages, etc., which was great to see. The whole rig had a complete tear down and clean through. The water in there, I am ashamed to say, has been in there for about 3 years. You are supposed to do an annual check on these things. So we stripped the whole thing down, cleaned all of the radiators through with distilled water and vinegar, actually went through, cleaned all the fins. The 1080 block completely polished and refurbished both inside the block and on the back plate. First time we've done that, and air tested the whole thing to make sure that it would be watertight. So there are a couple of things that I still want to do on this build. I definitely want to do a custom set of cables. I think the violet theme on there is quite striking, quite nicely contrasted against the black. And the GPU, I mean, a 1080, it was a great GPU back in the day. It does feel a little underpowered, shall we say, in comparison to the 3800X. So I do have another 1080 in there. I could whack that into SLI. Probably not a whole heap of use for Isabel, who's predominantly going to use this thing. I'm sure for schoolwork is going to be her answer, but in reality, I suspect VR. SLI is more than useless for VR, so a single 2080 Super, I think, might be better. I'd like to add a bigger reservoir in there, so we had a 1070 Strix from Asus in there before. That's got a big PCB on there, so that actually prohibited a bigger reservoir in there. The 1080 that we've replaced it with is a Founders Edition. It's a reference board. It's nice and compact, and there is now room for a bigger reservoir. And there's a couple of the tubes that just didn't quite line up the way that I wanted them to. So we're going to go back and make sure that we sort all of that out as well. And please, if you're not subscribed, make sure you do so, because we're going to be building Isabel a whole desk setup in her bedroom as well, including a desk, wall-mounted monitors, cable chasing. You know the score. As always, I hope you're really well wherever in the world you are. Please like, share, and subscribe, and I will see you in my next one. Boom.